Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 3 Yards and a Cloud of Dust NFL podcast. I'm your host, Josh, and with me, as always, my co host, Jonathan.
Hi guys.
So, we've got some really big stuff to talk about here this week. Some important news that actually, a lot of it just happened within the last couple of days.
Oh yeah.
But before we get into that, we have a quick message for you guys. Before we get started with the episode, we wanted to let you guys know that we're going to be changing up the format in which we're releasing our videos for at least the next few weeks. We're trying something a little different because apparently the long format videos that we're doing aren't really getting in, they're not bringing in the views that we're hoping. So we're going to try and cut it down to at least 2 short, maybe 3 videos per week. So basically, you'll get the news on Wednesday morning, and then the next day after that, you'll get our discussion. And if there's another discussion that we need to cover that week, we'll have 3 videos in succession that week. And then, but for those who do enjoy the long format videos, we still will be uploading those. They'll just be going up on Saturday every week instead.
Which this will probably, me personally, I think this will actually help all viewers to really pick and choose what they want to see, what they want to watch,
Well,
and kind of listen.
That, and they won't have to dedicate 40 to 50 minutes to sit down and listen to one of our episodes.
No.
So you'll have a 10 to 15 minute news video every week, and then the next day you'll have a anywhere from a 15 to 25 minute discussion video.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to try and keep it. Or like I said, we're going to try this out for the next couple of weeks, see how it does. So with that, back to the episode. Okay. So getting into today's news, first of all, happy Star Wars Day, or actually happy belated Star Wars Day. We're recording this on the 4th, but it'll be out tomorrow morning, or Wednesday morning, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so happy belated Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. But getting into some of the biggest news, former Steelers offensive tackle Alejandro Villanueva has signed with the Baltimore Ravens on a 2-year, $14 million deal.
That's a really good pickup for the Ravens.
It really is. It really is. He's a solid tackle. He doesn't get a lot of credit for being that. Like, he's had some issues. He has given up some sacks, but he's been getting better year after year. As a matter of fact, last year he only allowed 3 sacks. The year before that, he only allowed 4. And the most he's ever allowed in 1 year is 7.5. And that was his first season with the Steelers.
And so you can constantly see his progression as each season gets on, because he's becoming that veteran who can see what's happening.
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying that he's actually better than Orlando Brown, who he's basically replacing with the Ravens.
Yeah.
So, with that, I mean, and another big thing about him too is since he started with the Steelers, he has not missed a game. He's played in all 16 games every season he's played with the Steelers.
Yeah, so
you're getting consistency with this guy.
You're getting consistency, and you can definitely see that he doesn't get injured often, ever.
Yeah.
And because he's been with the Steelers for, 3-4 years?
At least, I think, like 4 or 5.
Yeah, somewhere in there, between 3 and 5 years.
I think it's at least 5 years he's been with the Steelers, maybe even 6. But he's been with the Steelers for quite a while, so it's actually kind of interesting to see them let him go.
Yeah, and so on other news, basically, the Raiders have signed Casey Hayward to a 1-year, $4 million deal, which is actually a good pickup for them, too.
This is a really good pickup for the Raiders because they need the corner help. They didn't go get any I think they got one in the draft, but it was really late in the rounds.
I want to say it was like the fifth or 6th round.
But they drafted like 3 safeties, so they really didn't go and get any corner help. Of course, I'm a little upset that the Raiders didn't take Greg Newsome. The Browns ended up taking him. He was there when the Raiders went to pick. I don't understand why they didn't take him. I understand they needed some offensive line help, but I don't know. Why waste your first round pick on that? Like, especially with a guy that everybody was saying was still going to be there in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah.
So it's like, I understand they went after the guys that they wanted, that they felt were going to fit in best, but I mean, really,
the stats just doesn't really. accumulate to what the Steelers needed for who they picked.
The Raiders, you mean?
Yes.
Because the Steelers actually had a really good draft. They went and got the players they needed. They went and got themselves a nice running back, and then they got offensive line, a lot of offensive line help.
And that's something I've also been seeing throughout the last couple of drafts, that the Raiders have only been getting like one or two pieces that they actually need, and backing up some of the other spots, which you can see from other teams in comparison. That's why the other teams are getting boosted more than the Raiders.
So, next order of news is former Colts 2017 first-round pick Malik Hooker is currently visiting the Dolphins. That's a good. I mean, he could potentially be a solid guy for them in the back of the secondary. You've got veteran presence there. Plus, he wouldn't have to do too much.
Yeah, he would definitely be a strong person to have back there, and he would definitely be able to get the whole defense somewhat complete. And if you look at all his stats, he doesn't have a lot of interceptions, but he has a lot of knockaways, which definitely will help the defense of the Dolphins.
Well, I mean if he can definitely be a help, they definitely need it. So
yeah, and that would definitely break up a lot of the big plays if it's thrown that direction.
Yeah. So next up, we've got a couple of big pieces of injury news coming, and the first one is out of Denver. Broncos offensive tackle Ja'Wuan James has suffered a season-ending torn Achilles, and this is big for a couple of reasons. Obviously, they're out of tackle.
Yes.
That they were hoping was going to be there. And it's so terrible when you hear something like that happening. I mean, you never hope for any guy to get hurt or anything like that unless you're playing Madden on the Xbox or something.
Exactly.
But whenever you hear of a real player getting hurt, especially with something as gruesome as a torn Achilles, yeah, you feel for the guy. And, it's also big because now his salary for this year is in jeopardy because of the fact that he got injured while working out off-site, not at a Broncos facility. The Denver Broncos are no longer obligated to pay him this year's salary, so he could be out. I think it was about $20 million this year.
Roughly about
potentially.
$20 million, yeah.
So that's gonna be big.
Yeah, and that would definitely hit. That will definitely hit him, but he has plenty of money to get him at least through this next year anyway.
You hope. I mean, you hope.
You hope. but I think he has kids in that. So
yeah, but Ja'Wuan, if somehow you end up hearing this, just to let you know, we got prayers and good thoughts going your way, buddy.
Yep. And then now we have a Jets defensive lineman, Quinnen Williams. He has reportedly broke a small bone in his foot, which will require surgery to repair, but he is expected to miss between 8 to 10 weeks at this point, but he should be ready for training camp, which is a good thing.
That is heartening, too. That's good to hear because Quinnen Williams, he is going to be a key part of that Jets defense this year. So to hear the fact that he's not even going to miss the preseason, he's just going to miss the OTAs and the mini camps.
That's a big relief.
That's a big relief for Robert Saleh right now.
Yeah.
It's a shame that he's not going to be available for those 8 to 10 weeks, but it is heartening to see that he will be ready by the season. So,
but I wouldn't be surprised if he came out during that period, not really to do anything, but just to see some of the new guys coming out and practicing and all that, just to kind of see what they were capable of. But now we have Falcons have picked up Calvin Ridley's 5th-year option worth $11.1 million.
And that is key because they need that receiver help, especially if they're looking to move on from Julio Jones. Calvin Ridley was a big part of that wide receiver core last year. As a matter of fact, he probably had more 100-yard gains than Julio Jones last season.
Yeah, I believe he did. I want to say he
And I mean, he was a key part of my fantasy team, so so I'm glad to hear he's with somebody who can get him the ball.
Yeah, and they were really good at getting their wide receivers the ball, and they know how to break open pieces of the field to get the balls over to them.
Yeah, and of course with the Falcons drafting Kyle Pitts at number 4 overall, that weapon. I mean, Matt Ryan's got several weapons to throw to this year.
And Matt Ryan's not done. He still has multiple years left in him, and I guarantee you, these few weapons that they did pick up in the draft and this one right here will definitely accelerate them to be a playoff threat.
Yeah.
So definitely. It's definitely gonna be close, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be at that level where they can make it into the playoffs.
And next up, we have tight end Mo Alley Cox has re-signed with the Colts for a 1-year deal, and he's set to make $3.4 million this year. That's a solid signing. They need those weapons for Carson Wentz, so I mean, there's really not much else to say. He's a good tight end. Carson Wentz has another solid weapon on his side.
And that's another key piece about that tight end spot for them, because their tight end has been pretty weak the last few years. So picking up that one tight end will definitely strengthen their receiving core too.
Yeah, but our last piece of news: former Steelers Hall of Fame quarterback, not former Hall of Fame quarterback. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback, but former Steelers quarterback Terry Bradshaw has publicly lambasted Aaron Rodgers, criticizing him for creating the drama currently unfolding in Green Bay, calling him weak, and saying he should go ahead and retire. Now, of course, we have been hearing about this basically ever since the first day of the draft. The story of Aaron Rodgers not wanting to return to Green Bay. And so this is huge that somebody like Terry Bradshaw is just coming out and just ripping into Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and that's another key. That's another piece. Like Aaron Rodgers, yes, they don't like that the callback they picked up is basically supposed to replace him one day, but I thought this was gonna set a fire under him to get better.
And that's what it looked like it did last year, because he had an amazing season.
Yeah, but
they ultimately lost to the Buccaneers in the playoffs, but I mean that Buccaneers defense was nothing to
joke about.
I mean, they were crazy good. They shut down 2 back-to-back great offenses in the Saints and the Packers.
Yeah, and then
and then they went and did it again to Kansas City.
Yeah, so that just seeing them this one season and seeing them, I guarantee they're going to do it again this season. This is going to be one of the hardest offenses and defenses to beat, because you have Tom Brady and multiple weapons around him on offense, and then you have probably one of the strongest defenses in the league now. Mm-hmm. So, and this kind of just showed it in this last playoffs, and showing that they can step up in this playoff setup.
Yeah, but if you want to hear more about the Aaron Rodgers stuff, we'll be discussing that in our next video. It'll be on the second part of our discussion for the week. But otherwise, that's it for the news and updates for this current week. So we thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.